What's good, Guardians? Today, we're going to take a look at a Warlock build that can give you your super in less than 60 seconds, as you'll be able to see here in the gameplay. Of course, this does depend on ad density and how fast you can kill them, but lucky for you, this build breaks down the easiest ways to get that done, including using the exotic Mantle of Battle Harmony or one of the exotic class items. We'll break down everything from the subclass and mods to weapons and gear, and of course the dim link will be down in the description below if you want to go ahead and save it to your own Guardian. If you're ready to speedrun getting your super, then let's get going. First up, let's talk about our subclass selection. For this build, we're going with Prismatic because it gives you tons of options to make this build really custom to you. For the super ability, it's going to definitely depend on what you want to run. Of course, if whenever you're running your super ability, you want to go ahead and match whatever energy weapon you're using with that, so just kind of keep that in mind. For me, I chose Song of Flame. It's a very fun super. It's brand new. It does good damage and pretty good ad clear as well. With Song of Flame, you're going to be scorching everybody in your path and doing lots of ignitions, which is going to be great against harder end content like champions. For the class ability, I did choose Phoenix Dive just because I don't want to go ahead and use Rift, and it has a very short cooldown as well, and of course heals you. For the movement ability, that's completely up to you. I like to use Burst Glide. The melee ability, I chose to use Incinerator Snap because you can go ahead and scorch targets in front of you, which of course causes ignitions, and who doesn't want that? For the grenade here, I chose to use Storm Grenades because they are incredibly powerful right now, and they do pretty good damage just like they used to. For the two aspects here, I chose to use Hellion, which basically whenever you use your class ability, it spawns a solar mortar that can lob flame projectiles at targets, and of course those targets become scorched as well. And for the second one here, we got Feed the Void. Defeat a target with any ability to activate Devour, and your Devour effects are improved, like restoring additional health and grenade energy, which is going to be very nice for kind of staying alive here. With this build, we got 5 fragments. Going on to the first one here, we got Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, class ability energy generates faster, which is going to be useful for using Phoenix Dive more. Then we got Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, and rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. Facet of Dawn. Your power melee hits against targets makes you radiant, and then power melee final blows makes you and nearby allies radiant. So this is going to be nice, just kind of do more damage to the enemies here. Since we are using this fragment, you can absolutely go ahead and use Arcane Needle if you got them, because that gives you 3 stacks of them. Fourth here, we got Facet of Blessing. Melee final blows start health regeneration, while Transcendent melee final blows start health regeneration for you and nearby allies, which again is going to be something that's going to be pretty helpful for you guys. And then of course number 5, we got Facet of Dominance. Your Void Grenades weaken targets, and your Arc Grenades jolt targets. So I'm using an Electric Grenade here, so of course you're going to be able to jolt targets, and it's going to chain to nearby enemies, which is going to be nice as well. Now let's take a look at our seasonal artifact and the mods that would go great with this build. There isn't any that are 100% necessary for this build to work, but there are some that will absolutely make you stronger. And what we should take a look at is something like Winning Hand. While using weapons with the Dealer's Choice Origin trait, Combatant Precision Final Blows or rapidly defeating combatants cause the target to explode, dealing solar damage to nearby combatants. Having several weapons equipped with Dealer's Choice Origin trait increases the effect of the explosion. So, spoiler alert, we are getting this done by running weapons that just came out with the final shape that have Dealer's Choice Origin trait. I'm going to go ahead and go with the options that I chose to use, but of course there's going to be a lot of options for you. But this is going to be one that is going to be able to make this build better. Another artifact mod you can go ahead and choose is going to be Elemental Siphon. Rapid final blows with a kinetic weapon or a weapon matching your equipped super. Create an elemental pickup that matches the equipped super. So of course, getting elemental pickups here is going to make it a little bit better as well. And again, it's just making us stronger. Nothing that's necessarily needed. But now let's get optimized with our stats and armor. For the stats here, really there's only going to be one recommendation. We already know what it is. It's going to be resilience. You want 30% damage reduction against all enemies, of course. Why would you not want that? I'm not even going to go ahead and recommend any other ones because it really doesn't matter. A lot of people want to get their grenade back or their melee back. Maybe with this build you want maybe a little bit more recovery. Go however you want. This is up to you, but I am going to let you know what I have in the armor slots. Of course, here now I'm going to go ahead and start with the helmet. We have 3 harmonic siphon mods. So basically what this will do is this mod is going to affect your super that you have currently equipped. Of course, I have the solar super. So rapid solar weapon final blows create an orb of power. I have this so that way it can stack the potency of the mods, because really that's what we're going for. Onto the arms here. For the first one, I have Firepower, which grenade final blows creates Orb of Power. Heavy-handed, which powered melee final blows create Orb of Power. And then I have 1 slot left, so I just gave it Fastball. Of course, we're really not going to be using our grenade or melee very much, maybe if we have to, but the whole build kind of revolves around the weapons we're going to be using. You don't necessarily want to use grenades super often, but I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But now we're going to go ahead and take a look at our exotic armor here. It's going to be the chest piece, Mantle of Battle Harmony. Quick heads up, if you do have something that's going to be on your exotic class item and you already have Harmony and mixed with something else, absolutely use this. I'm just going to go ahead and go over this exotic real quick, just so everybody knows what it is. Of course, we got the armor perk here, Absorption Cells. Final blows with weapons matching your equipped super damage type grant you super energy. When your super energy is full, you instead gain a temporary bonus to weapon damage of that type. So with this, it's going to be pretty strong here. We're going to be able to get our super very fast. Like I said, less than 60 seconds. And not only that, if you want to go ahead and choose to keep the super, you can even deal extra damage, but kind of depends on what weapons we're using here. For me, I like to get my super as fast as possible and then spam it and add clear or do damage to enemies. But now for the mods here, we got the Harmonic Resistance mod, which basically just reduces incoming damage from whatever super you have equipped. For me, of course, it's solar. I throw in an arc resistant mod as well. And then of course we got Charged Up, which increases the number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. And then out for the legs here, I got the Recuperation mod, which replenishes health each time you pick up an Orb of Power. And then after that, I have 2 solar weapon surge mods. Of course, the weapon that I'm going to be using most of the time is going to be a solar weapon, which I'm about to go over here in just a moment. But of course, I want it to get as much damage as possible so I can kill enemies faster, so I can get super faster. And now we're on to the class item here. Of course, I got Time Dilation mod, which decaying armor charges longer duration. That way we can get a little bit extra buffs here. Then we got Powerful Attraction, automatically collects nearby orbs of power whenever you activate a class ability. So if you're using this correctly and you're doing everything right, of course you're going to be spawning a pretty good amount of orbs here. So activating your class ability is going to be something that's a little bit easier than chasing down those orbs. And then of course last we got Reaper. Shortly after you use your class ability, your next weapon Final Blow spawns an orb of power. We're going to be farming orbs like nuts. Next, I'm going to go over the weapons here. So a quick heads up, of course this whole build revolves around the 1 perk Dealer's Choice, which final blows with this weapon grant small amount of super energy. Equipping multiple weapons from the Pale Heart increases this effect. So we are going to have 3 weapons that use the Dealer's Choice origin trait. Recently there has been talks of there's some exotics that have this as well that came out this season, but that don't actually state they have the Dealer's Choice. Of course you can go ahead and test it out to see if that's true or not. I have not done any testing like that. All I've known is that I want to use these items because they're good and I don't really need an exotic for this. For my kinetic slot here, the first weapon I'm going to be go ahead and using is going to be the Call. Of course, this one's super popular. I got mine already crafted with Left from Gold and One for All. Again, like I mentioned before, in all these slots, there's going to be lots of different choices. This is the one I like to use. It's very good, and it comes in clutch. For the second slot here, this is going to be my main gun I'm using pretty much the entire time. It's going to be the No Hesitation Auto Rifle. Right now, I don't have the perfect roll that I want. I'm currently using Strategist and Incandescent. Incandescent really pops off with this weapon, and not only that, it's a brand new frame that just came out. It's awesome because you go ahead and deal damage to enemies and then heal your teammates and yourself, giving you guys restoration, which is absolutely amazing. The weapon isn't hit scan, so it's projectile, so the bullets kind of take a little bit to get to the enemy, but it's also pretty cool because it does a decent amount of damage and it shoots different. It's just really fun to use in my opinion. And then lastly here, I actually chose to go with the Sword False Idol. So this is also going to be a solar weapon, just like No Hesitation. So that way we're getting all the extra buffs that I have from the mods. And of course it's matching my super, which is what we want. But from what I noticed, when you kill enemies with the sword, it does look like you get extra super energy. Maybe it's because you're using heavy ammo. I'm not quite sure. I don't really know if I've ever noticed that or not. But whenever I whipped out a sword and killed enemies that just kept spawning in, instead of it being like around like 50 to 60 seconds of me getting my super, it ended up being like 30. It was very quick and I was actually super surprised. And of course this rolls with Incandescent as well, which is super fun to use. I really don't know if it's a good sword or not, but it's just something that's fun to use with, of course, the Dealer's Choice origin trait, which is what we need for this build to work. Lastly, we can talk about the playstyle or gameplay loop. To be quite honest, there really isn't much. All it is you're using your weapons that have the Dealer's Choice origin trait. So you don't necessarily need to stack 3, but for this build, this is the whole point of it. So we're stacking 3. We're using No Hesitation. Of course, it's a solar weapon. We want to get as many orbs of power as possible. Pick up all your orbs of power by using your Phoenix Dive with Powerful Attraction. And then that's it. You get the orbs, you get your super. And if you want to go ahead and pop that super and do lots of damage, or you want to do ad clear or whatever you want to do, you can absolutely go ahead and do that. You don't have to use solar for this, like I mentioned before. If you you want to go ahead and use Nova Bomb. Nova Bomb got a crazy buff. If you want to go ahead and use Nova Bomb and you want to switch out these weapons to something else, you can absolutely go ahead and do that. I figured this would be the easier version of it because it gives you that solar AR, and the new solar super is super good. So overall, this is an absolutely fun build to try. I would definitely go ahead and give it a shot. I'm not going to be quite sure if it's going to be good with end game content like Grandmasters and stuff like that, but I'm going to bet you I'm definitely going to give it a try. But that's it for today's build guide. This is a super fun build. You definitely should try, and you might be able to use it in any content you can find yourself in. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. Let us know what you want to see next in the comments. And until next time, stay safe, Guardian.